makes a farm sustainable. Sustainable agriculture and farming has become a very important and popular practice among today's farmers. It is not easy being a sustainable practice, with trying to balance environmental and socioeconomic needs. Throughout high school, I practiced sustainable farming and practices in my FFA chapter. It is quite a process for a farm to adapt to sustainable practices. There are many steps and factors that must be taken into account to adapt to this new method of farming. Sustainable agriculture practices are on the rise due to the rapid depletion of resources and the awareness of our earth needing to be preserved. The path to sustainability is not as simple as it seems. 3 sectors must be accounted for when achieving sustainability. 1, economic, 2, social, and 3, environmental. And from this picture, you can kind of see how they all tie together and all the variables affect sustainability. A deep structural change is also required to become a sustainable practice. These sectors all represent very important aspects of farming. If a farm fails to meet the rising demand of food products, it is found to adversely affect the growth rate of the economy. With people becoming more health conscious and the social aspect of farming has greatly increased over the years. Lastly, one must address environmental issues such as climate change and the depletion of resources and balance those environmental issues with socioeconomic needs. Data collected from a survey in the UK analyzed the process of a practice becoming sustainable. According to the results acquired by Matthew Cook, it is hard for farms to be sustainable due to extensive land use and water use and processing of the crop or product. Consumers often do not realize how much water it takes to produce the food they eat. Take an almond, for example. To grow a singular almond, it requires 1.1 gallons of water, and to grow a pound of almonds, it takes 1,900 gallons. Let that number sink in, and remind you that having a sustainable farm is not as easy as it seems. And from this picture, you can see that for a head of broccoli, 5.4 gallons of water are needed, 1 walnut, 4.9 gallons of water, and 1 tomato, 3.3 gallons of water. So these are just a few more scary statistics about the water needed for produce. In a related study, finding a balance between consumer and production is difficult, according to the communications of the ACM. Humanity is facing major challenges, and so are farms. Agriculture is one of the main causes of biodiversity reduction, which leads to habitat loss and fragmentation. And as you can see from this graph, you can see how widely agriculture affects world biodiversity, and with infrastructure and climate also affecting it. In addition, with over 40 million people living below the poverty line in the U.S., it is difficult to have a sustainable agriculture setting outputting products that consumers can afford, states A. Trauger. Sustainability in the agriculture industry really does entail more than the common eye perceives. Many of you may not know that the agriculture in the United States has been in a period of economic crisis for over 2 decades. With falling prices and overproduction of commodities, it has made it difficult for the common farmer to be sustainable. However, more adaptable and achievable sustainable practices are becoming available. Some of these practices include integrating livestock and crops and rotating crops. According to A. Tragus, sustainable agriculture is gaining unprecedented popularity among producers and consumers. Consumers like the aspect of their food being from a sustainable source. They tend to buy a product labeled sustainable over a product not labeled sustainable, according to the environmental health perspectives. And here are a few brands some of you may know that are eco-friendly and green, that are pretty popular among people I know at least. It is essential that companies understand how to best reach the United States consumers in one of the fastest growing merchandise categories, green products. According to the Electronic Green Journal, there are 3 reasons why understanding the green consumer is more important than ever. First, companies are producing more green products. Second, consumer demand has increased for these products and services. And third, government agencies are encouraging green products through regulations and incentives. There is an expected doubling of spending on green products to around $500 billion per year due to the increase in demand of sustainable products. Many companies are attracted to the idea of green product manufacturing because of growing concerns regarding our planet. A question that often comes up when discussing sustainable agriculture and sustainable products is, does one size fit all when it comes to marketing these products? One's demographics and worldviews can shape the way they feel about sustainable farming and production of goods. Different generations have contrasting views when it comes to green and eco products. For example, during an international oil embargo in the 1970s, dubbed the energy crisis, baby boomers were in their teens to young adult years, as people panicked with having no gasoline. Because of this oil crisis, according to the Electronic Green Journal, baby boomers became more aware of their environmental footprint. Having lived through such an experience, such as this one, it really does shape one's opinions and views regarding sustainable practices. In 2014, Haas and Naylor designed the Green Consumer Value Scale, GCVS, which assigns a green score to a person based on 6 survey questions. This is a method to determine how one responds to the production of sustainable products and its effects, such as the effect it has on baby boomers. I personally believe in the use and production of sustainable agriculture and its products. Growing up, I learned the benefits of the small things in life, such as picking up a candy wrapper on the playground and throwing it away, even though it wasn't mine. In my opinion, sustainable farming is very achievable on a small scale, for I have maintained my own sustainable garden. In high school, I helped to grow crops for our school cafeteria. In my garden, I saved my seeds and propagated my plants, along with building a healthy soil and using a drip irrigation line. Growing crops this way, for example, using a drip irrigation line, helps to conserve water and eliminate runoff. And on the left, there's a diagram of 5 different ways to propagate plants, and it varies on what type of plant it is. Okay. And on the right is the drip irrigation line, just so you get an understanding of what that looks like. However, on a large scale, where the same agricultural practices have been put in place decade after decade, it can be much harder to change. Many more factors have to be put into place. The source Nature explains how many consumers, farmers, and policymakers praise organic farming as an ecologically friendly system. However, they do not consider the additional land and livestock needed to produce green manures, along with the economic cost of producing food in this way, and the net effect on greenhouse gas emissions. There is a fine line as to describe a practice as sustainable, and one must account for all factors when trying to deem a farm or agricultural business sustainable. Agriculture itself is assessed at different scales, using inconsistent methods and narrow criteria, making this process quite difficult. Sustainable agriculture and production is very important and relevant in our society, and having a sustainable farm is not that easy, especially for larger farms. Economic, social, and environmental factors must all be taken into consideration. These factors are very hard to calculate, which makes the process even more challenging. Consumers, however, often like the aspect of green and sustainable products, although the cost may be higher. Different personal ideals can affect the way consumers react to green products and sustainable products. I personally believe sustainable farming will be the new method of farming in the future. If we all do our part, we will have a sustainable and healthy future. Thank you.